Now, what tools are you going to need to start fixing your bike? Let me show you. Now, I've been working on mountain bikes for the last 15 years, so I've amassed quite the range of tools. My tool chest down here is completely full as well. Now, you don't need all these to get started, so don't be intimidated by this big wall of tools. Let me show you the essentials. Now, you're going to need a bike stand. This is going to be useful to elevate the bike off the ground so you can take the wheels off, do any frame maintenance. In this case here, we're going to be building up this new Commencal Clash. It makes it far easier to work on the bike when it's freestanding, so you don't have to hold it as you continue to work. This one has a handle for the clamp, an adjustment for the angle here so you can rock the bike up or down. But just anything really that's going to support the bike so you have the wheels off. And you don't have to always be working on your whole bike. You can take your drop post out, clamp it there. Your fork, you can do a fork service. So it's really useful to be able to have a freestanding stand to put your gear in. After you've picked up a stand, you're going to need some things to undo bolts with, Allen keys. I like these snap-on ones, they're not very expensive. You can get these in a ball end or a flat end. I prefer the flat. It's a good idea to get these P-handle ones or T-handle ones, just like these ones, because they increase the leverage on the fastener with the larger size. So this being a 5, is slightly shorter than this guy being a 6. And the bigger bolts, the bigger sizes require more leverage to keep them tight. Now, most bolts on a bike are Allen keys, but there will be some Torx keys too. Your rotor bolts, for instance, or if you have a Scott branded bike, then they use Torx on almost everything. I have this socket set which covers almost every size. I also have this triangle, 3 different sizes on there, and included another P-style handle, T25. T25 is pretty much the most common one. So if you're just going to grab one, T25 is going to do maybe 80% of all the Torx on your bike. Good idea to get a second set of Allen keys and Torx. These Weir ones are really nice. They're a lot smaller, even though this is a 5 comparatively to the snap-on one. The snap-on one's much larger, but in some hard to reach areas the bigger Allen key doesn't really fit, and occasionally you will have to undo 2 bolts that thread into each other, might be the same size, so you need 2 sizes of each Allen key. Now you're going to need some way to keep air in your tires, so a floor pump is going to be much easier than using one of the small hand pumps. This guy has can do the Schrader on that side, Presto on that side. It's serviceable. These Joe Blows are very reliable, and pressure gauge on there as well. Decent quality tire lever is going to last you years. This one's got a steel core in the middle. I only carry one with me. It's all you really need. Pretty inexpensive, lightweight. You can chuck in your bag or keep it around your workshop. Most of you guys will have probably front suspension on your bikes. Around here in Squamish, everyone's got dual suspension. A lot of the dual suspension, like this Fox 40, is in air. There's an air cartridge on the inside of air spring with the valve there, so you're going to need some way to inflate it. So I'd recommend getting a shock pump. This is a pretty basic one. It's analog, not that accurate, but certainly will get the job done anyway. I much prefer the digital ones. They go down to half a psi, and when you really get into dialing your suspension, the digital ones is really nice. But like I say, not essential. You can get the job done with an analog one for sure. cable cutters like these Park Tool ones will come in real handy when you start replacing your gear cables. Really sharp. They have this area here to reopen the inner sleeve of the housing, and don't try and use any kind of side cutters like that, or some flush cuts to cut gear cable housing. These ones are going to make it super easy. You know, maybe a little bit expensive, 50, 60 bucks Canadian, but well worth the money. And again, once you buy them, you'll never have to buy them again as long as you don't lose them. A range of picks is going to be a good idea too. Got a straight one there, got like a 70-degree one. This is a kind of another odd one, a hook one there. These don't have to be expensive. You know, these Snap-on ones are fairly expensive. These are some cheap ones I got on Amazon. They're pretty much exactly the same. They're just going to allow you to hook onto cables, gear cable housing, expand any brake lines for putting fittings in. Just a very useful tool that a lot of people don't think about, but they're pretty inexpensive to get and make a world of difference when you're deep in trouble. Now the right size spoke key is going to be really handy too. Just going to allow you to tighten up any loose spokes, do any minor wheel trues. This is a Park Tool one. Pretty much every mountain bike past 2014 is going to be this black. It says size 0 there. They do in red, blue, green as well. But like I say, pretty much the last 6-7 years definitely going to be this black one. Chain tool is going to come really handy when you start replacing chains or you've broken a chain. You can add to that one of these quick link pliers. These can only remove or install just the quick links, but definitely learning how to use a chain tool is going to solve every single problem, because you can open and close the chain just with the rivet itself. This is a pretty decent quality one. Replaceable pin there, a slider. I also use a Shimano one as well, which I really like. Pretty weighty though. This is definitely an at-home tool, but you can get mini versions of them. And especially with the mini versions, you want to have a good understanding of how they work and operate, because the leverage is a lot lower. But these ones, for a home mechanic, for your home shop, something like this is going to be really, really handy. Now this is a soft-faced hammer. It's actually a dead blow on. I don't know if you can hear this or not. It's got a bunch of sand in there, so it packs a punch, but because it's soft, you can see all the markings there. It won't damage anything. You'd be surprised if you bought a used bike, maybe the last owner didn't take too good care of it. So when you're moving your cranks, you might have to knock them out with a hammer. Take your fork off to service your headset, or just service the fork. You may have to remove it with one of these, and it just makes your life a lot easier. But again, no risk of damaging anything. If you're running tubeless tires, which I would recommend if you're mountain biking, then you may need a tool to do some valve maintenance. This tool allows you to remove Presto valve core, Schrader valve core, and put on an extender if needed. Make these myself, Cars 31. Buy that on my website. I also do our Pro series valves that also have a tool in here, which allows you to then undo the valve core tool, which is pretty cool. Now you don't have to buy the most expensive tools, but I would avoid the really cheap ones. They're pretty bad quality, and then they'll wear out really fast. You'll just have to buy the slightly nicer ones after that. So bad value for money in the long run. Just buy some relatively good quality tools. I use some Snap-on ones, Park Tool, Wera does some really good ones as well. Look at those brands. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment if you think if I missed anything. You can spend a ton of time researching tools. I have bearing presses, ratchets, a whole bunch of other stuff. And once you build a base for learning how to fix your bike, then you can buy more specific tools. Cheers.